All right, thanks so much, Joy. Well, we start today in Puerto Rico, where pressure is on the rise between public workers. Massive protests have broke out, protests asking for better wages. And as our Francis Felix reports, more government workers have now joined the movement, including firefighters and policemen.
Claiming better salaries and work conditions, different groups of public servers with casserole, boards, Puerto Rican flags, trucks, speakers, and all the creativity that's characterized Puerto Ricans to be seen and heard.
Today is a wonderful day, a big day of massive protests in Old San Juan because many teachers went here to fight for retirement, for their pensions, and fighting for salary, a just salary for the teacher. We haven't received a salary increase in more than 10 years. The Fiscal Control Board, the one that wants to impose the pay of illegal debt, using Promesa as a law to permit to follow that, are cutting the pensions of the teachers in more than 30%. That's why we have here thousands of teachers protesting and making a statement that we are not going to let this down. We want our retirement, our just retirement. We are not going to pay an illegal debt, and we want a raise on the salary of the teachers. This is a first message to the governor that doesn't want to meet with us, and we are going to continue this if they don't stop this intention of cutting our pensions and to not make a just compensation for our teachers. This is the first message. We are going to continue protesting and unifying with different sectors of the people of Puerto Rico.
I'm a teacher I have 18 years of experience in the Department of Education, and it's been 14 years since we have no raise in salary. Everything is more expensive, services, food, everything is highly cost, and our salary hasn't been paired with our living cost. I'm glad that the firefighters and the policemen, they join our cause because there's too many people and too many public employees that doesn't have a fair salary.
The fire department don't have any salary scale about 10 years, and it's the moment that the government take action with the fire department to make better salary.
This is a first message to the governor that doesn't want to meet with us, and we are going to continue this if they don't stop this intention of cutting our pensions and to not make a just compensation for our teachers.
What it is clear about this manifestation, the March of the Indignation, is that firefighters, teachers, nurses, and other public servers will continue protesting if their claims of better salaries, work conditions, and dignified retirement are not being heard. From Old San Juan, Puerto Rico, Francis Felix.
All right, thanks so much, Francis. Well, meantime, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Prime Minister there, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, is warning nationals that have received offers for babysitting jobs in England that it could actually put them at risk of becoming victims of human trafficking. Now, he's also warning that traveling to London to take up these offers could hurt the individual as well as the Caribbean island. Speaking on state-owned NBC Radio, Gonsalves said he asked the Commissioner of Police, Colin John, and the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Unit to get involved in addressing the issue. Now, currently, citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines can travel to England without a visa and stay up to 6 months once they match a certain criteria, but can only work legally if they have a work permit. Gonsalves, the Prime Minister, pleaded with nationals to listen to him, adding that all he can do in these circumstances is give sensible advice.
We don't have to reinvent the wheel, we know what has happened. They go up, they may do some babysitting at below minimum wages illegally because they're not supposed to work if they don't have a work permit.
Right.
Then they get abused in one way or the other. Things are difficult. They ain't got nobody, friend or family up there to help them. They may overstay, they get deported, they get locked up. Or sometimes they get pushed into things which are worse. Just look, these promises which are held out by some individuals who do not have your interests at heart. And I know the Labor Department has given out information on these things already.
And now the Prime Minister put residents on warning that in addition to harming themselves, they can also harm the country. He said some countries have lost the privilege of their passport holders traveling visa-free to England because of illegal activities committed by citizens of countries. And meantime, more money is heading to the Caribbean region to help fight climate change. Our One Caribbean News' Deandra Hamilton has more on this major investment.
The Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, will be increasing its climate change financing to help Caribbean countries with their responses to climate change. The announcement was made by the Director of Projects for the CDB, Daniel Best, at the 2022 annual news conference held on February 1st in Barbados.
In keeping with our commitment to ensure the alignment of the operations of the goals of the Paris Agreement, we will continue to scale up our climate finance portfolio and pursue game-changing investments to enhance the effectiveness of our climate action. Consequently, CDB expects to mobilize up to US $150 million in concessional climate finance through the Green Climate Fund. We are working with our countries to develop additional projects for GCF core financing to improve the sustainability of future climate finance flows to the Caribbean.
Best noted that these opportunities will create economic diversification, resilience, and growth, which he explains will lead to the production of new green commodities. Despite the strain of the pandemic on the economic situations of Caribbean countries, the CDB also announced that its borrowing member countries grew economically in 2021 as a result of leisure travel, says the Director of Economics at the CDB, Ian Durant.
In 2021, CDB's borrowing member countries are estimated to have grown by 3%, with commodity exporting economies growing by 2.7% and service exporting economies expanding by 3.2%, as many Caribbean countries benefited from a recovery in international leisure travel.
The CDB's annual news conference provides a yearly review of the previous year and the CDB's plans for the future. This year's news conference was held under the theme, Priorities for Growth and Development.
And that was our Deandra Hamilton reporting there. Well, meantime, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has now released new guidelines for the cruise industry. In the CDC's updated program, cruise ships can now operate under one of three tiers. Vaccination Standard of Excellence, which means at least 95% of passengers and crew are fully vaccinated and boosted. Or highly vaccinated tier, which means at least 95% of passengers and crew are fully vaccinated, or not highly vaccinated, which means less than 95% of passengers and crew are fully vaccinated. Now, COVID quarantine and isolation rules do vary depending on the ship's vaccination status. COVID tests, they are still required, and the CDC will give cruise lines until February 18th to opt in and share vaccination status of each ship. The agency plans to reevaluate its guidance by March 18th and update as needed. Now, in response, Cruise Lines International Association called the CDC's latest cruise guidelines out of step and unnecessary.